Who runs the Adani Group, and what reason is the Kenyan government giving for leasing the country's main airport to a foreign company?
Well, the Adani, Gautam Adani, the owner, the head, is the one dictating almost everything. And he seems to have taken advantage of the new government in Kenya to advance some suggestions that, because the government was vulnerable, seemed to have accepted without thinking very much what the repercussions would be. The reaction to it is hostile. The Kenyans are very angry because it showed how vulnerable the president is and his team, and the detriment to the country, the image, and the potential loss of resources and income and work is immense, and the Kenyans are reacting to it in a very negative way. They are not happy at all with what has happened.
So what are the implications for Kenyan airport workers if the Adani Group does take over that work?
Well, they become subject to Adani dictates. The Adani would set the terms. Kenya, as a government, or the state, will have very little control on what happens in the airport. In fact, not just Jomo Kenyatta Airport, but all the airports in Kenya will come under the Adani control. Kenya will lose its sovereignty in this regard. And that's one of the reasons Kenyans are very angry at the whole thing. It shows how short-sighted the officials in Kenya were in agreeing, if they did agree to this kind of arrangement. For Adani, he's doing very well, despite his reputation worldwide of shaded dealings. Seems to be getting away with it in many ways. It's just extending worldwide, and Kenya appears to be available for taking advantage of.
So, Professor,
the workers will be very angry.
Yeah. Well, I thought there was the Office of the Auditor General, where, you know, when you give such big deals to outside companies or people from outside of the country, there should be some kind of vetting about this. Should Kenyans be concerned that such a deal in a sensitive place like the international airport could potentially compromise the country's security?
Yes, Kenyans are concerned, and they should be concerned, extremely concerned, because of the insensitivity of the government to the wishes of the Kenyan, to Kenyans' interests. So it raises the question whether the government knows what Kenya's interests are, so that it can lease or give away such a strategic part of the national infrastructure. The Auditor General keeps on pointing out to malfeasance, corruption, and bad dealings. So it said there was a lot of bad dealings in this regard, which ignored Kenya's interests. And as a people, Kenyans are very angry at this betrayal, what appears like a betrayal by the government of Kenyan interest to a foreign entity like Adani, which has questionable dealings in other places. It is a very annoying situation to the Kenyans, and they are just wondering what went wrong.
Professor, quickly, is there any legal challenge to this in a court of law in Kenya? Yes, no, what's going on?
Yeah, some lawyers have gone to court to raise issues, particularly since the procedures were not followed. And even the ministers themselves have admitted that procedures were not proper. It was so secretly done that it was supposed to be a fait accompli. But now with the people complaining, with the information coming out, some people have gone to court, and we are waiting to see what the court will decide of the matter. And I think the court will reject the whole thing.